Some things are kept a secret for so long, even we don't know what we're introducing until seconds before it goes on the air. I'm here with Dan Tanguay, game designer on Crash Bandicoot. What can you tell us about Stormy Ascent?
So, Stormy Ascent. Stormy Ascent is a level that was made for the original Crash Bandicoot 21 years ago. And you can see it right there.
Right.
It is a level in the style of Slippery Climb. So it's a side scroller. But what happened was that Naughty Dog realized that they had made a level that was way too hard. Like really, really way too hard. And so, they basically, at the 11th hour made the hard decision to cut it from the game. But, they really couldn't jeopardize changing, the code to rip it out.
Right.
So what they did is they simply commented it out. And so most players have actually never seen this in its original incarnation, save for those players, at least at the time, that had a Game Shark. And with the Game Shark code, they were able to access the level, and then the notoriety of the level started to grow.
Sure.
And so, cut 20 years later, we're taking a look at, making Crash Bandicoot the Insane Trilogy, and we said, this ought to be like a fun thing to add.
Yeah.
And, we put it to the team, and the team played the level, and they're like, holy crap, this is hard. I think the designer we eventually assigned to it took like 60 lives to get through it the first time until he was able to really master it. And we said, oh man, that's something that might be cool. And then, the more we, read about what the fans wanted out of this game, we heard that the fans, really wanted to, play this level as well. So we said, all right, well, I guess we got to make this level and release it to the public.
Yes, this is a very cool story. It speaks to the potential of remasters, and, polishing off older games and re-presenting them to the public. Not only does it make older games much easier to play today, or much more available, you have the opportunity to do stuff like this and sort of like rescue this level that people, this is sort of like lost to its time, right?
Yep.
So it's actually very cool. Did you have to, you talk about how difficult the original level was. Did you tweak it at all to make it less difficult? I know it's still very difficult today, but did you make it more playable?
We actually, at least from a level design point of view, decided not to really change it all that much. We wanted players to really have kind of that original level experience, much like we've done with our other levels. So any of the quality of life improvements we made, from the original game carry over, but outside of that, it is pretty much what it was originally.
As I understand it, there was originally just one checkpoint in the level. Is that the same in this case?
I actually don't remember if we added more checkpoints or not.
Could have been helpful.
Yeah.
And I also know the original level, even though you could access it through a Game Shark way back in the day, it was still very buggy. It was very easy to break the game.
Yes. No, we
imagine
certainly,
you had to go in there and fix some of those.
Yeah, we cleaned up the bugs, and we also one of the bonus rounds actually just wasn't there at all, and would break the game if you tried to access the bonus round. So we added the bonus round, and that's a new bit of content for players to try out as well.
It's interesting that maybe a lot of people don't realize, even though the level was cut from the game, but it's still shipped on the disc, because back then you couldn't update the game with a post-launch patch. So there's a risk of, by taking stuff out, there's a risk that you mess up other things, right, and screw up with the rest of the game.
They wouldn't have shipped the game on time had they tried to rip it out in time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course we get the same sort of visual overhaul as we see in the rest of the Insane Trilogy.
Excellent visuals, same rain effects and everything that Slippery Climb has. So
this is available for free to all owners of the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy through August 19th. What happens to it after then?
After then, I believe we're going to charge for it $2.99. I think is the price point. But nice month-long window. Yeah, no, that's something that was really important to us, is to make sure that the fans had ample opportunity to get their hands on it free while they're playing the game.
Yeah, that's a really nice little bonus.
Yeah,
I mean the game has been very well received. Right?
Thank you.
I mean, both commercially and critically. You must be feeling good about the recent launch.
Great, yeah. This is about as best a launch as we could have hoped
Yeah.
for, and I mean, you know, the response has been great. I honestly don't know sales numbers. That's not my field,
yeah.
but you know.
But I keep hearing it's like topping the charts around the world.
Yeah.
So that's
we hear about it topping the charts, and folks on Twitter send me screen captures of getting the triple platinums,
Nice.
and so it's great to see this kind of response.
So you said it's been 21 years since the original Crash game?
Yes.
What do you think it is about this character that endures?
Oh, what is it
to
about
this day?
Crash? He's really, really charming.
Yeah.
You know, he is kind of like just, in the spirit of Looney Tunes, just kind of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but, he can roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You can't help but not like him, and when he dies spectacularly, and you get a good laugh. So.
Yeah. Well, also, I imagine a 21-year-old anything in pop culture is probably like at the sweet spot where the people that played it when they were kids are in their they're around 30-ish now and like ready to revisit those nice feelings.
Yes, absolutely. And that I think, really was what we set out to deliver originally, is just kind of, that nostalgic feeling, not only of getting to play with Crash and his friends again, but actually also the feeling of, playing with your friends on the couch, passing the controller back and forth. Though, surprisingly enough, I'm hearing, at least from some of our folks at Activision now, that there are a lot of kids playing it too. So we're starting to create a new generation of Crash fans as well, which is great to hear.
That's interesting because I hear the game is very difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe even more difficult than people remember it.
It's difficult in different ways. I think we certainly tried to make sure that a lot of the frustrations of the original games, and Naughty Dog even admits that, that first game, they were still kind of learning their craft. And so we wanted to make sure there were a lot of quality of life improvements there just to reduce the frustration. However, through the course of building out the gameplay, we found that, some things did become a little more difficult. Certain jumps, for example, are now a little more difficult than they were before. I think that's a result of just the more modern technology we're using at this point. But, on the whole, I wouldn't necessarily say it's more difficult, it's just differently difficult.
Yeah, well, it's a different type of game.
Yeah.
It's a type of game that you don't get a lot of today.
Yes.
But I think games used to be, in general, games used to be more difficult than they are today.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we've seen a trend over the decades of games becoming more accessible, right, and a little bit easier. But now all of a sudden there seems to be a resurgence in difficult games.
Yeah.
Maybe we can thank Dark Souls for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that something you're also seeing? Is that accurate that people are a little bit more welcoming to difficult games today?
Yeah, I see that certainly, and I think also it really is a fine line, and we are trying to walk that line. What you don't want is a game that's both difficult and frustrating to the point where the player just says, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, moving on.
Because, obviously they're not going to finish the game. But we're seeing, through, some of the analytics we've instrumented in the game that the people are going back and playing the game over and over again. So there's certainly something there that's compelling them to keep playing.
Sure.
And, talking about that line, the trick really is to make it so that it is difficult, but not so frustrating that you want to put down the controller, and it's compelling enough where you're like, you know what, I know I can do better, I'm going to try again.
Yeah. So someone is playing the new level, Stormy Ascent, for us right here. This level, in addition to being very difficult, is also very large.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it the largest level in the whole trilogy?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, it is, I want to say, roughly about 4 times the size of other levels. So not only is it a skill challenge, it's also an endurance test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is our brave player performing right now?
Oh, he's doing great. He's actually, he's been practicing. He knew he was coming on the show. So.
Yeah. He was, getting some practice time in before.
Yep. And certainly I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges we had in making this, is that, the folks that worked on it really had to master the original level such that they could, accurately recreate it. And that just took a lot of time. So, technically the level is, no more challenging to build than any of the other levels, but from just a time investment, the act of testing it.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of our team members really had to up their game.
So you're game designer on the Insane Trilogy,
Yes.
is that right? This is a pretty iconic gaming character you're working with here, especially to the PlayStation audience. What's your experience with Crash Bandicoot? Did you play the original back in the day?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I started in the game industry right around the time that this game came out.
Okay.
And this game for me was not only kind of fun from just a fan point of view. It was also kind of inspirational for me for my career, and just seeing what could be done with video game consoles at that time.
Sure.
So that was pretty cool. And then after Naughty Dog and Vivendi Universal parted ways. Vivendi made some other Crash games, and actually Vicarious Visions made the sequel to Crash Team Racing, which was Crash Nitro Kart. So I was the lead on that.
I see.
And Vicarious also did a number of Game Boy Crash games as well. So we've had a long history with Crash, and then even more recently we did the Crash expansion for Skylanders Imaginators. So. The team loves Crash.
Cool, yeah, evidently. Yeah. I also think Crash was very instrumental in giving a face and a personality to the PlayStation brand, which was new at the time. In 1995, we'd had 10 years of just Nintendo and Sega, and Sony's a new guy on the block, and Crash really helped them sort of define the PlayStation persona, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they couldn't have picked a better Bandicoot for it.
It's true. So the Stormy Ascent is a new level. It's out today. It's available for free.
Yes.
To anyone who already owns the Insane Trilogy. And you have a month to download this level.
Download it, please. Play it.
Can you download it now if you haven't gotten the game yet?
It's probably not.
Probably not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Got to own the game.
Yep.
All right, Dan, thank you so much for coming by the show.
You're welcome.
Stay tuned. Much more to come here on IGN Live at Comic-Con, coming up next.